Hey everyone, welcome to my channel and another Technique Junkies video. Today we are going to be doing this cat on with the mixed media effect. And so we'll go ahead and get started here. Wanted to show you the stamps we'll be using, which is Cat Lady and You're Perfect from the May release. Remember, you can get 15% off the May release stamps until May 8th. And yep, she's on an action wobbler. And then you can also use my discount code for everything else, which is TJ10 color. And I'll have to apologize here. What I did was I did this with the Colorful Life stencil, and I took video of it drying. I thought I had video going of me putting it down. But anyway, this is a retired Technique Junkies used to sell foil, and a friend of mine sent me this roll of animal print foil, and well, by golly, I'm going to use it. So this is, that's Deco Gel Duo. That's down on my paper, and I had placed it on through the stencil and allowed it to dry for a couple of hours. So I'm laying my foil down onto it and then just trimming off. And I'm going to take my bone folder and really burnish it down really well. And I'm not even going to put heat to this. I'm just going to run it through my Vagabond. I am going to put another piece of paper over top to act as sort of a shim. And I'll put that through my Vagabond and be right back. All right, that's done and easy peasy. I just pull it off and the foil sticks. And I've got myself a little foiled animal print slash. I love this stencil that, from A Colorful Life. I think it's called Strokes. I'll put the name in the description box. So I'm going to take my Catherine Puller and Cranberry Fizz, and I'm going to make a second slash here, kind of overlapping with the first one. And I'm just going to use a brush, and I want to go in real deep and heavy because I want this to be a really, really deep red. And I'm just holding my stencil. I didn't feel the need to really put it in anything. You can if you want. You can also mask off the space at the bottom if you don't trust yourself, but I did okay. I end up getting red all over this thing for multiple reasons. I'm just bad with red, but I'm able to remedy it and fix that up. So I'm grabbing a paper towel, and I'm just going to wipe the excess ink off of the foil right there. And our background is ready to go. And I'll be matting that on a piece of paper. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this down to what I need, which is going to be 4 by 5 1/4. And I'm keeping the slashes towards the top. I'm going to cut a little bit out here though. Yeah, we're going to go all the way. I'm just going to cut the top off so my slashes are up towards the top, or my strokes, or however you want to call them, my little decoration. And see, I got a little bit of red on it. And that's the nature of the beast with me. I'm just going to get my Tombow sand eraser and erase it. And it comes up pretty easy. Just get it cleaned off here, because it's such a light little fingerprint. There's other ways to get that fixed too. You can use white paint, like white chalk paint. Whatever. We're not going to worry about it. We're going to set our stencil aside, and we're going to work on our matting piece now. And so I'm just going to take a piece of paper that is, it's a little bit bigger than 4.5 by 5 1/4. I'm going to trim it down. 5.5. I'm going to trim it down so that it's the right size here. So it's going to be just a little under 4 1/4 and a little under 5 1/2. And I end up misjudging how I did that. So I end up doing this part over, and you'll see that I start gluing it down. I'm like, wait a minute, it's too short. What did I do? Maths, you know, it's the music of reason. I guess I'm just not reasonable. But look at all that yummy ink. So I am not going to let that go to waste. I'm going to get it wet and dip some watercolor paper in it and start myself a new waste background, because I use them all the time. Sometimes they're better than the ones that I purposefully set out to do. So I'll just smack it in the red ink here. And this, by the way, is also how I end up getting red ink everywhere, because it's red. And I'll wipe up the rest. And I do want to make sure that I wipe it very well, because it's very hard to see it on that surface. So, you know, I definitely want to go in twice and wipe twice. And I think I'm going to just use this paper towel right now. I don't know what happened, but my husband washed all of my rags and they all have hair on them. We have pets, and I think maybe some of his stuff was in with mine. And therefore, putting hair all over my rags, it ends up getting all over my projects and makes me crazy. All right, so we're going to get out our stamping platform now. Let me get those out of the way so I don't make a mess. And I'm going to pull off all my accessories here because I don't need them in there. And I'm going to grab the Cat Lady stamp here. And this I do have sped up a little bit because it's just stamping. But I am going to stamp her out in black and with black VersaFine on just a piece of accent opaque 80-pound paper. And then I'm going to heat emboss it with some clear embossing powder, just so it's kind of raised and, you know, to help me stay in the lines a little better when I color, because I'm just not very good at coloring. I think it's my eyesight. We'll go with that, yeah. So I do stamp her twice because I want to make sure I've got it nice and wet. And I'll pull her out of the platform here, and I'll grab my preheated tool, heat tool, and of course, my embossing powder first. And I didn't put any like embossing buddy on there or anything because I really didn't need to, because I'm going to be fussy cutting this out. So I'll just go ahead and emboss this down, make sure that I get every little nook and cranny. But not too much, because I don't want it melting into the paper. And you'll see the whiskers right there. We end up, you know, trimming those off basically. So I do have to make her some new whiskers, and I'll show you how I do that. But right now, I'm just going to go ahead and color her in. So I'm grabbing some of my Catherine Pooler inks here. I'm going to be using Twilight. She's going to be a gray kitty. I'm going to be using Cranberry Fizz, and I'm going to be using Rockin' Red. And I only have a mini of the Rockin' Red. So I have a mixture of minis and non-minis. And I'm going to be using, I have it's a Stampin' Up! Blender pen that is my new love for coloring, because it's nice and wet, and it's not like, I don't know, it doesn't work like markers. Like, you can really blend nicely with it. So I'm going to go in first with the Twilight, and I'm just going to color little bits of this on camera. The rest I'll do off camera because it's coloring. It's pretty basic coloring at that. So what I do, though, is I just put my pen in the color, and I start from the edge, and I swipe up. So I've got her face done. Now we'll get her turban going here. And I'm going to do the glasses in black, and I do that off camera as well. Give her a little bit of blush there and a little bit of a pink nose. A little bit of lipstick, kind of. Just a little bit of a kind of a red accent. And these I'm just doing as highlights. I'm going to paint the hat or the turban in the Cranberry Fizz. So go ahead and put some of this down on my mat. Take another risk with red. You know me, big risk taker. All right, so I've got her colored in, and here's me coloring in her glasses. I just like them black because they just remind me of cat eyes. I don't know. And I'm using my black Posca pen to color those in. And what I'll be doing is I will fussy cut this off camera. Again, it's pretty easy cut. And doing the glasses is easy too. Now, on the original, I did put some glossy accents along the glasses, but it's very hard to get a thin enough line for it to sit where you want it to sit. So I'm not going to use glossy accents for this one. I did for my prototype. She's ready to go. Let's go get her cut out. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. What I'm doing here is I am grabbing some black paper and I'm grabbing my trimmer and I am trimming off the most minute little pieces, and that one's actually even too small. I just want some tiny, tiny pieces. That one's a little big. So I'm just doing as tiny as I can, cutting off so that I have some very thin strips to use for whiskers. All right, let's go move those and get her cut out. All right, I've got her cut out, and now I'm going to zoom in for you. And I'm going to show you how I do these whiskers. So she needs some eyebrow whiskers. I'm going to take my glue, and I'm going to glue it along the edge of where I want these eyebrows to start. And then I'm just going to take my scissors and trim pieces off and glue in like 3 in each spot. And after it dries, I can trim them down some more. So I do keep them as fairly long so I can give them a haircut after it's dry. I just kind of adjust them around so they're sitting in the right place where I think they should be sitting, and kind of along the guidelines of where I see the whiskers that are already there. And you don't have to do this. I mean, I like whiskers. You know, you guys know I have cats, so I think their whiskers are super cool. So I even felt bad cutting off the paper whiskers. Funny story, when I was a kid, what did I cut off? I cut off some of my eyelashes because somebody told me if you cut them, they'll grow back longer. Well, that's just not true, by the way. They really didn't. Lesson learned. Luckily, at the time when I was young, I had plenty to spare. All right, we've got her eyebrow whiskers going here. And if it starts to fight, you grab your tweezers and move it around with your tweezers. The main thing is you want them to be sitting kind of flat, you know, so that they're all in the glue and not on top of each other. Ah, yeah, there we go. Let's do her face. And y'all, I think this is the longest part of the whole thing, and waiting for the Deco Gel Duo to dry. And I'll have everything linked in the description box below. So don't forget, Technique Junkies is 15% off for the May release. And anything else that you're looking to purchase, you can use my discount code TJ10COLOR to receive 10% off. Now, the only thing you can't receive 10% off on is the want to have it all bundles, because they're already discounted. So, but everything else, and Technique Junkies sells Colorful Life stencils. They sell Catherine Polar inks, a variety of things besides all of the cool stamps. And I've always been a fan of Technique Junkies stamps, so you can imagine how excited I was to be invited to be on the team. There's just a lot of really fun stuff. There's fun stuff, there's beautiful stuff. It's just, they're really, really quite the mix. And a lot of them I do actually use for my other mixed media projects, like for my junk journals and stuff like that, ATC cards, what have you. Now this one would be a good one for an ATC because it's pretty small. It would fit perfectly on one, actually. Let's get this last whisker on, and then we will let this dry before we start trimming at them. I'm just moving it around a little bit with my tweezers. Make sure that they're evenly sort of, you know, spaced out normally. All right, got them pressed down. We'll let it dry. Okay, it's dry now, so I'm going to go ahead and start trimming on those whiskers. And I'm kind of just making like the middle one the longest. And my scissors decide they're not going to cooperate. So I'll just get in closer. There we go. So I like to leave that middle one the longest. And I don't think I'm going to mess with the eyebrows at all. I kind of like them the way they are. Just kind of get these pieces of paper out of my way. And here I've got my redone background piece or matting layer that has been sitting drying. And I am going to go ahead and use some foam tape to pop this up onto that. So I'm going to pop this background piece. See, I've got a little bit of red on there. You can barely see it, but I can see it enough to bug me. So I'm going to grab my Tombow eraser again and try and clean that up a bit. Yeah, you can't take me anywhere. Not with red ink. All right, so I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to go ahead and lay down my foam tape. I'm just going to go 3 rows of it. One on each side, then one down the middle. Okay. Pretty simple. This was a huge roll, but it's going quick. To be fair, I use it on a lot of projects. So I'm just going to pull that tape off, and here you see I realized it was wrong, so I did another one. And the other one's a little bit bigger, but I can trim it down. So better to trim down than to try and trim up, because you just simply cannot do that. And I just used the edge of my cutting guide as a guide to get the right margin. And just cut it down all the way around. And in this way I end up doing more red ink smudges from my fingers. Look at that. What a mess. Good thing that's pretty close to where I'm putting the cat, so we're in good shape here. So I'll just take my eraser and erase up as much of it as I can. And you probably can't even see it in the video, and maybe it's just my eyes, but to me it looks like there's pink all over it. And I apologize, I don't know what my camera thinks it's doing today, but it's decided to go a little bit wonkers. So she's going to get popped up right there, and I'm going to pop her up with an action wobbler, because why not have a wobbly kitty head on your card? Oh gosh, anything for comedy. I love it. Okay, so I'm going to peel the backing off of this, and I know there's a right and a wrong way to do this, but to me it works either way, so this is the way I'm doing it. I'm just going to plop that sticky side down right around in the middle of her head, and then just pull up the backing. Pull up the backing, there we go. Find the spot where I want her to stick, and down she goes. Haha, little wobble kitty. All right, so let me just kind of wipe up here, and I am going to be putting this on a black card base. So I'm just going to take a piece of black and I'm going to cut it down to 5.5 inches, and then I'll score it and fold it at 4 1/4. And I see that there's a dog-eared piece right there. This whole paper pack had one little part in it that was dog-eared. It made me so mad. So let me just get this out of the way, and then I'll get my little scoreboard out and score this up. And I pre-marked the 4 1/4 mark and the 5.5 mark, so you know, whether I'm doing a top folding or a side folding, I know where to score without having to look real close. So let's get that out of the way, and we'll fold this bad boy over, make sure that its edges are down good and even, and I'll just take my bone folder and smooth that down on both sides. Yes, there is a cat crying. Sorry about that. He wants her. He wants her. Okay, so I'm going to glue this down to the black card base. I'm just going to open the card base out here and place my glue on. This is, again, my Reptile adhesive, just in case you wondered. I do not use art glitter. This is very similar to art glitter, I'm guessing, because it can't be shipped either. But it's not glue, it's adhesive. So the owners of the Reptile adhesive live in Florida, and they also make an adhesive for tiles. And I guess this ended up being maybe a byproduct or something. And I'm just, instead of getting my hands all over this, I'm using a clean paper towel because it's white. All right, there's my cat. Now I need to do the inner part of my card. And I've got the Your Perfect stamp. And I'm going to stamp that down using my platform because I'm going to be stamping it down on a piece of white accent opaque 80 pound. And then I'm going to stick that to the inside of the card. So I'm going to grab my paper here, and then I'll also be grabbing a piece of acetate so that I can make sure my stamp is down straight. And I keep my little acetate right in my stamping platform. Another thing that you saw me pull out of there was a sticky mat that I made. Anyway, I haven't needed to use it yet, but in case I do need it, it's there. Let's get this acetate down. Lay my stamp where I think it's good, and I will be trimming some off all four edges of this. But I still need it, you know, centered in the card, and I need enough space for somebody to write a sentiment. So yeah, it's a little crooked to me, so I'm going to adjust it a little bit. And I know you can't see it because I've got myself zoomed in here, but just have to trust me on that I moved it a little. And that's perfect. All right, now we can go ahead and stamp that down, and I do end up stamping it twice because I like my things really nice and black. It's fun little card and sentiment. A lot of the stamps for this release are surrounding Father's Day and Memorial Day. So we have a really cool soldier one, and I'll likely have a video using that one as well. All right, it's perfect. We'll take it. Let's get that stamp off of there. Move my stamping platform. And I'm not going to heat emboss that because I don't want it to warp at all. I want to be able to use just a tape runner to put it in the inside the card. So I'm going to trim down 1/4 inch on each side so that it ends up being 5 by 3.75, I think. Or 3 3/4, whichever way you like to say it. Okay, there we go. One more 1/4 inch down here. And voila. All right, that's done. Now I can get out my tape runner here. And you know what? I'm going to just move this little mat right here because I don't trust it to not have ink on it. And just go on straight onto my work surface here. And get the tape runner down. And this one I got from scrapbook.com. It's a little bigger than those little itty bitty ones. I think it's got 90 feet of tape. I don't know. And there we go. Just get that down in the middle there. Try not to touch it with my fingers. And there we've got our little wobble wobble girl. All we need to do here, and there goes my camera going yellow on me again. I do not know what's happening there. I'm going to have to look that up. I've got some of these gold confetti sequins, and I'm going to put a big one right smack dab in the middle of her turban. Just going to set them down here for it's easier to pick up and make sure they're on the right side because they still are cupped, and so I want the cupped side up. Those other ones picked up, and there we go. We've got our little action wobbler cat lady and her foiled background and the inside of the card. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to shop until the 8th. You get 15% off. And if you use my code, TJ10 Color, you'll get 10% off everything else. Bye-bye.